Hey, how y'all doing this evening? Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Hold on, let me check something. I can't hear you guys. Can you hear me? That's weird. Hey, how y'all doing this afternoon? Well, this evening. Can you hear me?
Hi,
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Got Winston joining here, saying he's joining now.
Oh, okay.
How was your week?
Good, busy, but good.
Okay, what was you able to accomplish this week?
Um, let's see. A lot. I finished the book from last week.
Okay.
I started the book from well, I guess I finished the book from the week before last, and I started the book from last week. And I I'm moving. I'm having some progress getting the funding that I'm waiting for to get things moving along. That's why I haven't called you to have a one-on-one, because I want to, like, when I get going, I just want to get going,
Okay.
And I know I need an address to start the application process. So I want to get that and then get moving.
Yeah, absolutely. Winston, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. How you been?
I'm good, man. How was your week?
It was all right, busy. So
Good,
yeah,
good,
it
good.
was good.
What were you able to accomplish?
Um, so I joined the uh Chambers of Commerce. Uh,
Okay.
so there's a couple events going on next month that I'm gonna attend. Um, I have a BNI meeting tomorrow at 7:30 a.m.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, you moving.
Um, what else? I got some quotes for insurance, and I found a company that is able to get me bonded for $118, and then another one for 150.
Yep.
I sent in my application to get licensed. Um, Today I visited about six different businesses, facilities and hospitals. So tomorrow I'm gonna continue for the rest of the month. I'm just gonna keep going to different facilities. I have a list of about 115 that I'm gonna try to visit at least 7 to 10 a day.
Oh, wow. Are you so what about like brochures and stuff like
Yep.
that?
My brochure is all set. So yeah, that's all done. I printed about 250 of the brochures from Staples, and I handed out my brochures wherever I went, as along with my business cards as well.
Okay, awesome, awesome. How would this the Staples give you a good price? You feel?
Yeah. So for the brochure, I got 250 for, I think, 170. I should have done a deal for 500 for $230, but I'm a little tight on money right now. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. You might want to let me see. It's this website. I think I sent it to you guys in a kit. It's a link. It's one of those links where I talk about printing out brochures or business cards or flyers or something or newsletter. And Hold on, let me just double check.
Yeah, I
Because
probably could have got it cheaper elsewhere, but I kind of needed it today because today was when I actually had chance to start going out. So
yeah,
I needed same day delivery. That's why.
yeah, but yeah, so it's for like, and over the long run,
Yeah.
you want to be able to get them in bulk at a great
Mhm.
price. So you're not,
Yeah.
waste spending all your money. Cause like Staples, that's why I asked, cause it's like I know they're gonna be kind of pricey. Um, what is it called? Um, I have it. What are these links? It's called um, the Flyer Lab. That's what we used to use. Copy. I was getting them from the from it's not what's they called Vistaprint, and but they weren't the cheapest. So I'm gonna post this in the Facebook group real quick so you guys can see it, and then we'll get into it with the training for the day. Do you guys have any questions or anything like that before we get started?
I don't, thank you.
Okay. So what we're gonna discuss today?
Actually, I do have
Okay,
a question, if you don't mind.
go ahead.
I was looking into CRMs. Do you know what's the best CRMs for small businesses?
I think we were talking about this last week. Um, Depending on what you're trying to do, if you want something that's like home care based, like something that's already, that has home care, like it's built for home care,
Yeah.
you could just start looking for like different home care softwares that have like a good CRM built into the program. Like Access Care, ADLware. It's like hundreds of them out there. Clear Care, I think. But if you just want something just, a good robust system that's really affordable, it's Zoho. It's
Zoho.
Zoho, Zoho CRM, and you get a lot for nothing. I mean, for
Mm.
free. Like you get a lot, you know.
Uh,
So if you can almost customize it to where though it's just as good as a home care, you know, design without some of the things that the home cares may offer, like clocking in and certain. They might already have certain things built in there, like care notes and stuff like that,
got it.
payroll integration. Um, but Zoho overall is a really good place to start. And then if you can start in Zoho. Then when you finally decide to buy a software, you can always just export all your data into your new software, because most of it can always export in like an Excel spreadsheet.
Good.
But huh?
Ne- the next question that I had was, do you have any kind of orientation programs for onboarding caregivers?
Oh yeah, I seen that. And so like the way we do it, it's like we don't have like they don't have like a orientation. We don't have like an orientation per se. It's just like the way we bring girls on. It's like 2 interviews. Then once we actually hire them, during the interview process, we get all the documentations. We tell them about us. We find out as much as we can about them. Tell them kind of like who we are, our culture, some of the things that we believe in, some of our values, something that's important to us. as far as an agency, as for like high level care, like punctuality, just being a consistent caregiver, like some of the things is really important to us, having like really good communication with our caregivers. And then, like I said, the documentation, we get all of that stuff up front. They get an employee handbook, what you guys already have, like they get an employee handbook, and then they get access to we don't necessarily put them in there immediately, but once they're been with us for 90 days, so it's like a probationary period. And if they don't have that much of their experience, so their experience is low, we'll try to team them up with like somebody who's been like a mentor almost.
Yeah.
So they might shadow somebody for a couple shifts before they start working their own shift. And then we also like to put them in that continue education training. So from day one, they get put into a continuing education training where they got online training where they're studying at least an hour a week on their own. So they're being put into the continuing education platform, employee handbook. Like I said, the orientation is like we pretty much tell them about us and get to know them is like the first two interviews, which because we do two interviews, and then like I said, if they don't have the experience that we necessarily really need them to have, like 3 to 5 years experience, we'll pair them up with like a mentor. Or if they're getting into a situation that they've never been in, say for example like a Warrior lift, or they're doing something that they've never done, we'll provide them the extra training if necessary. But so that's pretty much our our orientation program. Even though I just said we don't have one, I guess that is one. You know,
All right, good, thanks.
yeah. So what to do? So what we're gonna cover tonight is the documentation, the employee screening, the interview process, software, job advertisement, and then I don't even remember. I don't think that the slide. I have a slide for the 1 Minute Manager, but that's another book. That's a book that I want you guys to check out. As well this week is the 1 Minute Manager. That's a really great book on being an employer or just a manager managing employees, because a lot of times this is our first a lot of times people never been in that situation. They probably had jobs and they necessarily didn't have anybody under them. So starting the home care service might be the first time where you actually have people working for you, and you being a like a manager or a boss, and that comes with a skill set. And if you don't really, I mean, it's not like something that's, I'm not gonna say it doesn't come natural, but you definitely want to have some type of training or understanding that'll make you a better, a better boss, a better manager. And that book, the 1 Minute Manager, is excellent. It just shows you all these great techniques and stuff. And I hope you guys read it so we can kind of talk about it next week. But we'll get into it. So when it comes to recruiting caregivers, these are some of the places we look at. Churches, LinkedIn, Indeed, Facebook. I have Facebook ads, but Facebook, I need to take this off of here because I don't think Facebook has that job feature anymore. I've been looking on my pages, and it's like gone. So Facebook, you used to be able to post jobs on Facebook, like if you had a business page. So I think they just got rid of that feature. So that's one you can scratch from here. And then we'll talk a little bit about the documentation in the Google Forms, and just how they can input the information. If you don't have like this it built into your website or something like that, you just have like a Google form set up for like for the basic inquiries. So when it comes to churches, what makes churches interesting, when we look at the data from Home Care Pulse, is where we get our data from, based on the yearly survey. The Home Care Pulse is called the um it's a survey. I can't think of the name of it, but they do a survey every year, and it tells us where all the different information about home care, from where to get the best caregiver from, how much to charge, what other people are paying, what other people are doing with marketing, where most people are getting their clients from, whether it's like um, online marketing, referral sources, what type of referral sources. So like this is great. It's a great survey. It's called the benchmark survey, the home care benchmark survey that comes out every year. So you definitely want to check that out. I have a recording of it that from one old one. I don't want to be messing around with it too much because they have said something to me before. Like, you know, you've been sharing a benchmark study, and it's something that they charged for. So I don't really want to be putting it out there. But I will share old with you so you guys can see it. I think that's on like week 4, maybe even next week we do that. But what the benchmark study teaches you or tells us about caregivers, it said the best caregivers, and this is throughout the entire survey, come from are Black women over 40 to go to church, right? So they're saying these are the best caregivers that you're going to find. And this is, again, this is not from just one person saying it. These are like based on the survey. So obviously we use that information and now we market directly to churches. And what does that look like? Putting together a flyer, a nice flyer, letting with the maybe with the little cuts at the bottom where they could take a job thing, or now you could put the QR codes on there and go take it to the church's message boards. And I didn't realize. Now I know it's a lot of churches, but I didn't realize how many churches it was like in one county until I like searched it. It's like it felt like it was millions of churches in one county, but it not millions, but it was an extremely large amount of churches, and that's a good thing. So you go to these churches, you go. I wouldn't recommend going on like a Sunday, like go on like a random day other than Sunday, a business day. They'll be there. Most of the time, somebody will be there. Meet with somebody. Hopefully, you can meet with like somebody in the administration or like the pastor or something like that, depending on the size of the church. And then you just ask them and say, "Hey, look, I have a home care service," and it's almost like reverse marketing too, because I don't like to go to like certain places and present like go there looking for sales, but I do have that intention where I'll, like I said, reverse market and just be like, hey, look, here's some flyers. We're a local home care service. We really like to work with faith-based caregivers, and what our company does is provide jobs to the caregivers, but then also we take care of the seniors directly in our community, in this community. So what that does is give the church an opportunity to say, to their congregation, we have, some as a company here that's looking for, for people who are looking for work, and they'll put your flyer out. But like when I say reverse marketing, now what happens is the conversation has started, and then the people in the church are like, hey, look, I don't need no care. I don't want to be a caregiver. I need a caregiver, right? So then you're part of that conversation as well. So it kind of works two ways to get into these churches. So no different than how we go and find our referral sources, and all the different, like Winston was saying, he's starting to reach out to different referral sources. Add these churches to your list, but and then create a flyer for actual caregivers. Great. And again, like, okay, not only are you going to possibly get clients, you're going to definitely get some of your best caregivers. And the reason why I say they're the best, because they're not always just in it for the money. Like a lot of times caregiving, home care, and caregivers, it's not like a lucrative career, right, monetarily. But on a more like passionate or spiritual note, people really find fulfillment in it. And and to find those people that want to work for your business and aren't like money hungry per se, that they'll do it for a reasonable wage, but it's more about the actual work. And these are the type of people that you want to be working with. Not saying that you don't want to pay anybody, but there's just a limit to what you can afford to pay and still be, a business, still be in business. So you have to find people that want to do it for more than just money. and church is just a great place to find those people. I know I went kind of long on church, but I just wanted to make all of that clear to you so you can understand like the real value of recruiting caregivers from churches and how to go about it. LinkedIn is another great tool for finding caregivers. They have a job feature where I mean like a hiring feature, so you can put like that you're hiring in your community. But then they also have search tools, so you can put like caregivers, home health aides, CNAs, and I feel like if if a caregiver has enough confidence and wherewithal and tech savviness to go and put her profile up and you know start promoting herself on LinkedIn to be a caregiver. I feel like that's a potentially good caregiver. So we will communicate with them directly, especially if we have a case that is in a specific location. Say for example, you're doing your marketing for your caregivers and you get a lead in a specific city or a specific town that you haven't really been getting any leads from like Indeed or churches or whatever. You can go directly to LinkedIn and kind of and target that city and just look for caregivers in that city or in that community because they have the filters where you can put the city and stuff in there. So it's a more targeted approach, and you can send them messages and stuff like that. So we feel that you could post ads on there for jobs, free ads, and then they do have a paid version um for for um for jobs. But then also Indeed, but then also they have the free stuff, and then also you can, like I said, you can contact them directly. Like you can search them, see like a list of them, like hundreds of them, and then just send them messages that you're hiring, like straight to their inbox on LinkedIn. Indeed is the best way. We used to use Craigslist a long time ago. I haven't posted on Craigslist in a while, so that's why it's not on here. But that's where I started for sure. But now I feel like Indeed is the best service to use, like the best online service to use to actually start recruiting caregivers, to just build a good strong database of caregivers. So that's who we like to that's what we like to post our free ads. Give me 1 second, my dog. So Indeed, like I said, is the best. You get a big, and you can also do targeted searches, and then obviously you can target different cities as you set up your ads. And they have free ads and paid ads. And I
Yep,
know
I've
Winston,
even
I think Winston was saying that he was struggling finding the free ads.
yeah,
Did you
but
ever figure out how to use the free ones?
yeah, I figured it out, and I've interviewed about, I want to say, 8 to 10 potential employees so far.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I was saying. Once you figure it out, it's a really good source.
yeah,
And don't worry too much about if you don't have jobs for them yet. Just kind of let the numbers build up in your inbox. You can respond to them kind of casually, letting them know that you don't have anything right now, but you're hiring. Just to
yep.
let them know that you're not a like some kind of bot company where they're just posting stuff and like um scraping information off the internet, because a lot of people do worry about like sites, search specific sites. Like I got a call from one caregiver. She was like, "Is this a scam?" I was like, "What?" Because they said a lot of people be scamming. I don't know how. I don't know what they get from you trying to get a job, but she was just saying she just she wants to always talk to somebody, because when she applies for jobs on LinkedIn, Indeed, sometimes it be scams. So do do
Even next week,
communicate.
I've even had two people actually coming back that I interviewed last week. Actually following up. So I wasn't
Yeah,
expecting that, but because I don't have any jobs for them right now. But they just want to know if there's any updates since our last interview.
yeah, absolutely, and that's good. I mean, they're ready to work. So that's a good thing. And you know, you have your criteria, so they meet your criteria. And when they're calling you, that's a really good thing, you know,
Yeah,
especially right after the initial, because it's easy for them to like go on Indeed. And if you ever on like the high, like on the like take a look at the employee side as well. So don't just look at it from the employer side. Go look and see what they see. Go look
yeah.
on Indeed for jobs so you can see how they look for jobs and how you can, you know, better structure your job ads based on other companies and what you see is working, what looks like it's working or what looks pretty, you know, professional stuff like that. So so you can kind of understand what you know how easy it is for them to just click a job and then they're applied. And also you could do like tests. So they have like a home care, like a healthcare test that they could take, like a 5 minute 5 to 10 minute assessment, they call it. You could put assessments inside your application. They have like a lot of cool tools. And um the more these assessments or different what I like to call like hurdles for them to jump to get to you is better because it kind of like weeds out the people who not serious. So like if they don't want to do a 5 minute or 15 minute assessment, they probably don't want to do no work, you know. So or they not serious about no job. They just clicking, 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 clicking. So the people who are serious about jobs, they'll do the assessment, you know, and stuff like that. We'll get into the documentation and then like I said, the Google Forms are, if you ever had Google Form, you just can put in, like if you don't have like an opt-in page on your website and you get leads. So Indeed will send you all their information, all that stuff as far as like their resume. You'll see all their credentials and stuff like that, and then from there you can start emailing them, and then you can ask for like their paperwork and stuff like that. But like if you have like a church, like a flyer, like how would they communicate with you? Have to call a number, or you know, go to a website, or nowadays, like I said, you could put a QR code on there. So they could just put the QR code with the link to your Google form. And then when they click your QR code, it's like if you don't have the web, if you don't have this a form capability on your website, it's a free way to just get them to, you know, use the QR code, begin to populate the information, their basic information, their name, phone number, email, and maybe like they can upload a document like the resume and stuff like that. And then that Google form will come directly to you with their, you know, with all their information and their resume. So just a quick way for you to utilize some free stuff, because the QR code is free and then the Google Forms is free. And then, you know, you'll have a flyer out there and then they can be opting in with their emails. So they won't be calling you and stuff like that. Because one thing, you can put a phone number on there, but I don't really want people just calling, especially like my main phone number, just call like caregivers call because I'm telling you, like you say you already got 2 calls. Like when you out here, when you got like 10, 15 ads going, say like you got 10, 15 ads on Indeed and you got a phone number on there, bro, the same phone number, they're gonna blow your phone up. And it's gonna be like, especially if you ain't got no clients, it's gonna become like, you know, it's gonna be a little much. So you'd rather have them opt in and then have it give them the information, your phone, you know, your direct line, or have them call at a specific time and schedule and stuff like that, opposed to just putting your phone number out there and just having them call at will.
Thanks for telling me that because I already have a hot, hiring flyer and it has my phone number on there. So I'm gonna take it off and put in the QR code.
Yeah. I mean, but so when it comes to the phone numbers, you can always use like multiple Google Voice numbers. I'm like big on Google Voice. So even the number that, you know, everybody communicates with me on allencheney.com, like to separate that from all my other stuff, it's a Google Voice. So I know exactly what people are calling me from when they call this number. So because, you know, it's coming from a specific phone line and it's free. So
Yep, I already
You
have
can
the
have a Google Voice for employees and then, referral sources and then clients. Go ahead.
yeah, on my flyer I have the Google Voice number as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're not using that number for anything else, it could just be dedicated for caregivers. You know what I mean? And
Oh,
then,
the, I see. That number is actually what I have on for my website. For customers to call me. So maybe I should not use that same number for potential employees.
yeah. And I mean, it's up to you, but I feel like because Google Voices are really easy to manage. You can have like as many as you can. I don't know how many is it, if there's a limit on your phone that you can have. It's probably just as many Google emails as you can have. So I probably have like 7 Google Voice numbers on one phone. So you can have one for employees, uh, care like applicants, caregivers, um, clients, leads. You can have all different ones, and then you have like a main line. It's up to you though. But I'm just saying that's a great option. When it comes to documentation, you want to have their these are some of the basic documents that you want to get from them. Obviously, they're gonna fill out an application, consent for drug and alcohol screening, a reference check, employee agreement. I feel like that's the most important
I have a
document.
question.
Go ahead.
So with these forms, since right now my business is being run out of my house, and I don't want people coming over here. So do you send these forms in a PDF file where they can fill it out and then send it back to you, or do they come and pick it up and then fill it out and then send it back to you?
Yeah, like I said, like the Google Forms. When we talk about Google, or like you talk about these applications, yeah, you
Yeah,
can so you can send these in PDFs and have them where they can fill them out as PDFs, like editable, like what's it called, like writable PDFs where they can kind
yeah,
of write fill in information. Like if you have an Adobe account,
got it.
yeah, like I have an Adobe account. I think it's only like $9 a month, and my I can you turn my PDF, I can turn my documents to PDFs that people can write, just type in, so they can just fill it out and send it right back, all in the Adobe Cloud. So that's real simple.
I
And
know,
then another note on having your your home address. You still, if you have your home address, you got to think about this. You don't want to put your home address on like your business stuff, like your flyers and your brochures and your website. So if you even if you out of your home address, you might want to think about getting a virtual office or some type of suite address to put on like your website, and everything is public, like your social media, and stuff like that.
yeah, I try to get a virtual address, but the only one that is in my neighborhood or close to it, it's a Staples, and when people Google it, they're gonna see a Staples. So I wasn't
Yeah,
sure.
you don't want to do that. So
Yeah, so
they don't have any like suites or like
not anywhere close by. I mean, I live in kind of like a country,
oh,
where
okay.
yeah, almost all my neighbors got chicken, so that's why.
Yeah. So, yeah, but you might just go to the closest, city and just get it, and just go check it from on a weekly basis. But if you're not getting no mail, it's just for address purposes. And then because a lot of times they can forward the mail to you, so you don't never really have to go there. They forward the messages and the mail to you.
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm just using my address and
Yeah, it's
uh,
cool. It's
yeah,
cool.
for now. And
Yeah,
as I get bigger, I think I definitely will switch.
but you can use a PO box too at your post office for
Oh yeah,
just like
yeah.
mail and stuff like that. If you don't want to put, because I don't want you to put your home address on there.
Well, on the business website.
Just anywhere. It's
Okay.
gonna be public, yeah. But so yeah, these are different documents here. Like I was saying, the employer employee agreement is the one I definitely want you to have signed. And make having the ability to do a background check and the confidentiality agreement, because those are really the most important ones um when it comes to like protecting you from them stealing your clients, because that's a thing, that's really a thing. people will, and it's not necessarily always the caregiver. Sometimes, a lot of times, it's the client. A lot of times, it can be the client who's like, I'm trying to, they're trying to steal your case, and you don't want that to happen. They'll approach the caregiver like, hey, I'll pay you directly, such and such, and you work for me, you quit the job, and you work for me directly. And some caregivers might go for it, and and you could definitely end up in court because of it. So you got to be diligent. And the number one way to stop that is just really, really good communication. Like sometimes what happens is, and I'm gonna tell you, I feel like that just recently happened to me, where I felt like I lost a client to a caregiver, even though we had paperwork in place. I felt like that happened, but I didn't really press it, like as far as going to court and trying to, put a private investigator, because what happened was the client and the caregiver just stopped communicating, and it was kind of weird because at first, so me and the caregiver had got into a kind of like we had gotten to a disagreement about some documentation because it was around time to pay taxes, and the caregiver didn't want me to file taxes on her because I guess she was getting some type of assistance at this point. And we were just going through a discrepancy. And so I said, well, if you don't want us to file taxes, I'm just gonna have to take some money out your check, the equivalent of if I would have to pay taxes on that money. And she wasn't excited about it. And then she kind of like, she basically said, well, if you're gonna do that, I'm gonna quit. So once that happened, I communicated with we I didn't, but we communicated with the family, and the family stopped communicating with us. So they've been paying invoices all the time. It was just like really smooth sailing, communicating here and there when need to be. But then when this occurred, the caregiver stopped communicating, obviously because she said she quit. But then the client has stopped communicating. So I don't know if the client, I felt like the caregiver had just ran her mouth to the client, like, because she was kind of belligerent and kind of ignorant. So I felt like what I kind of felt at first, I felt like maybe she just ran the client off, like just being too ignorant, ghetto. So she just probably like she done with everybody, us and her. But then I thought like, man, maybe she kind of finessed the client, was like, look, I'm not working for them no more. But and she had been working with this client for over a year, mind you. Let me put that in there as well. So they had a really good relationship. So so when the client stopped communicating, it kind of raised my eyebrows, like, damn, maybe the caregiver and the client got like some type of secret thing going on. And I just kind of didn't pursue it as probably as much as I probably could have legally. But I felt like, how would I really pursue that, right? Like, what would I have to do? Like, catch her over there? Am I gonna be staking out this client's house to see if my kid? Like, no, for real. Like, how am I gonna really figure this out? And it was like the effort wasn't enough. The reward, you feel me? Like, what I would have got from it wasn't worth the effort I would have to put in to get like a gotcha situation. You see
Right.
what I'm saying? So I just left it alone. But I felt like where I dropped the ball at, when we dropped the ball with this client, is it was on such autopilot. Like the client was just clocking in, clocking out, clocking in, clocking out, invoice getting paid every week, every week. It was just like on autopilot. So then it wasn't as much communication that I think we should. We're like, it just kind of made me like really focus again. Like, okay, man, we can't get comfortable with clients who are just on autopilot, just paying, caregiver going to work. They're not. Everybody seems happy. The notes is coming back. Everything is happy. But then this happens, and then it's like, you know, like radio silence. So it was like,
Sounds
man, I dropped the ball. We dropped the ball on the communication tip. If we would have been checking in a little bit more often, just like on a like bi-weekly basis, checking on the client, having a better communication with her, we'd have probably had a more chance of her answering the phone than us not hearing from her for like a month or every month or two or something like that. Because we only just responded to her needs at this point. Like she'd be like, oh, I need a caregiver this day opposed to this day, this day. Or we need more hours or less hours this week, and we just have to adjust invoices and stuff like that. That was it. It wasn't like a consistent, like I'm telling you guys to be more like consistent communication, like weekly or bi-weekly, definitely bi-weekly. You don't want to get on your nerves, but you definitely want to be communicating and checking in as often as, in a good, consistent way.
Yeah, it sounds like you didn't have a relationship with the client.
Yeah,
Only the
we didn't have
yeah.
a great relationship with them, and it came from having a great relationship in the beginning because they were with us for years.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, that's what I mean. So it's like we kind of got comfortable and kind of dropped the ball with the
Wow. Okay.
communication. So they probably felt more calm. I felt like if she took the client, it was because the client had a better relationship with the caregiver than they did with the company.
Right.
So if that's what happened. That's what happened. Or she just probably was like, I don't want to deal with none of y'all. I ain't talking to nobody. No boom, boom, and that was it too. Um, but just a little quick story on how important these employee agreements are.
Well, what
Um,
does the agreement do? What is if the caregiver leaves, but the client does want to hire the caregiver, what is in the paperwork that prevents that from happening?
oh yeah, it's in the paperwork. There's a cost. They have to either a certain amount of time goes by or they have to pay you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Check out that agreement. It's in the business in the box.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yep, they have to pay you, or they get to, 2 years have to go past, or whatever you put on there. You know, you're
Well,
not
that's
hiring my caregiver. 2 months after she quit. You see what I mean? Like no,
okay.
and I know, but the thing is, caregiver families do that. Like families do. I've seen agencies buy out caregivers like $10,000. Like they'll pay a company. I've seen a family pay a company $10,000 for a caregiver. I've seen that with my own two eyes. So it's done, and I'm sure the company. It wasn't me. The company didn't pay. I mean, the family didn't pay me. I seen another situation where the caregiver got bought out by the family, so and I'm sure the company wasn't mad to walk away with 10,000 like one check and have
Right.
nothing else but in the long run they lost out because that client paid hundreds of thousands of dollars over a few years of service. So I get so it makes sense to there's value there either way, so you want to make sure you're protected.
Okay.
So yeah. Let's keep going here and telling my little crazy stories. Um, Employee screening. So I talked about this is before we started using Karma Check. We're using Karma Check now, where it's like a bundle where you can get like a certain amount every month. But then there's also Clear Check that you could use for background checks. And these are some of the things that they offer with their services: a social security number trace, address, name, date of birth verification, national database of criminal record, national sex offender search, and then global U.S. and state watch list. And you'd be like, why you want all this crazy stuff? But because you never know who who's applying for these jobs. This people on the internet. The internet don't play. So anybody could be applying for these jobs. So you just want to make sure before you send them into somebody's home that they've been screened properly. I used to just I used to kind of take this lightly, especially when I felt like, they'd be like, oh, I just was working at another job. So I was like, oh man, they already got a background check. So I'll be trying to not scam, be skimping on the payment. Like I ain't gonna pay for it. And then some people now, like I've seen other agencies smaller agencies make the applicant pay for it, like actually bring a check to the interview for they can pay for their own background check. But I never did that. And I used to just use like the local, searches where you can kind of look in your local city, but that's just not enough. I mean your local state. So I just kind of bit the bullet and just like, look, if I believe in this caregiver, I'm willing to pay, $25, $30 for the check until, like I said, but now we found different services to where though you get more than, you can get kind of bundles. So Karma Check, I think you get 5 or 10 or something. I don't know how many per. So they have like different packages. So you can pay for like 5 or you can pay for like 10 a month, and you just pay a certain a flat rate. So you could get a certain amount of checks for that flat rate, and you don't have to. I'm not saying that you want to run background checks on everybody that sends you their resume, or everybody applies on Indeed. You don't want to do that. I mean, it's just gonna cost you too much. So you just want to really make sure you're doing background checks on people that you're really excited about, you're really serious about, and that you're really about to put on the case. That's where you want to, make sure you just really using your resources wisely. Because in the beginning, you be excited just because you got opportunity to do it, but then it's like the excitement gonna wear off when you be like you just wasting money because a lot of times, and you're gonna go through this a lot. Home care has a very high turnover rate, and you will be wasting money, on some of these caregivers. Like I said, their Facebook doesn't even have an advertisement, but you can still use like advertisements like these to kind of like post. And you can get like we just had like a virtual, like people on Fiverr create these little ads for us for social media. Like you could post it on TikTok, um, Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that on your company's profile. People can, communicate with you and send their information over to you. Like we do have a phone number on here, where they can call us. So, you could just use something like this to post around on social media, or just have something drawn up on your own, just for social media purposes. The interview process. We're gonna go through this stuff real quick. I don't want to spend too much time on it because we already at 6:50. But the interview process is something you really want to, just don't want to breeze through, especially if, like I said, you've never been in a situation where you interview actual employees before, especially you interviewing them for your company to work directly for you, or somebody another person that you hired that they're going to be working for. So you just want to have some of these are just some of the points that you want to think about. Obviously it's not cut and dry, but it's just some things that you just want to think about when it comes to the interview process. So it says here, like the first thing, it says review potential applicants for applications for completion. So you just want to make sure people is even completing the application. Like I'm looking at stuff like that early because I'm really looking for reasons to weed them out. Like truthfully, I go in there like it's not a negative approach. It's just like I'm looking for like early signs for me to just go to get to the next one, because you don't really want to make waste your time with people who can't even fill out the application correctly. Like if you're not capable of filling out the application correctly, I damn sure don't got time to be trying to, what I mean, put you all the way through this whole process, then get you on the case, and then you don't show up, because it just kind of shows you their personality. You know what I mean? Their work ethic. Go
Right.
ahead.
I was just agreeing with you.
Oh, okay, yeah. So like missing information, extending time between. So these are some things you're looking for: missing information, extended time between positions, questionable information. Make notes of your interview sheet so you can so you are sure to clarify these items prior to beginning the interview. So like if you see things on there, just make sure you take a note. So like, okay, you can bring it up. Like, why weren't you working for 5 years? You know what I mean? And then or whatever, right? Or so not only if you got a lot of gaps, why do you have so many positions? Like I see some, and I think they think that that's cute, right? When they got like 20 agencies, like, yo, you didn't work to every agency in like 3 months, in like 3 years. Like obviously you can't keep a job, or for some reason they keep firing you. Or you keep walking, something going on. If you'd have been to like 12 different agencies in a couple years, that's not a good look for me.
Mm-mm.
It don't show me you got experience. It show me that you inconsistent. Um, Review. So like, okay, make sure you take all the notes, and so you can bring it up on the interview. A good interviewer is prepared and knowledgeable of the person they are interviewing. This shows the candidate that you take your task seriously and respect and value them as a potential addition to the team. So that basically means just making sure you have all the information, like you actually read their resume, you took some time to really read their application and stuff like that, so you can kind of get to know them before they even get there. Review application and resume to familiarize yourself with the information with the individual. Familiarize yourself with the interview questions. Not all questions have to be asked to all candidates. Some information may be contained and adequate in the application, resume, and copies of certification, diplomas, etc. So, obviously, if you already got the information in front of you, you don't got to ask for questions. And this actual breakdown, I think it's in the business box as well. This interview thing here, these notes. So interview process. This is the actual at the actual interview. Maintain direct eye contact with the candidate, welcome him or her to the interview, and express appreciation for the time they are investing in coming to interview. Briefly review the history and vision of the company. And that's what I'm saying. Like on the interview, when he was asking about orientation, that's part of it, right? Really, I feel like when I think about orientation, it's like explaining to them who we are, what we value, and like what our expectations are, and how we kind of view the company. Like our culture is kind of like extended family where everybody's really close. Everybody knows everybody for the most part. All the caregivers are pretty familiar with each other, especially the ones that work in the same house. Like somebody work at different shifts at different times, but they work in the same house. Or definitely the ones that've been around for a while. So over the time, like I've been doing this for 10 years, and I got caregivers that've been with me for like over 6 years, 7 years, some of them. You know what I mean? So I know these people. They know me. You know what I mean? They didn't see me go through divorces, all kind of drama. So um they know me, and it's like a family, and they've been there for me. I'm there for them the best way I can, as far as keeping them working, make sure they're getting paid every 2 weeks or whatever their payroll setup is. Like, so we're there for each other, and that's kind of like my culture that I like to run, the way I like to run. Different people have different ideas and setups. Some people might feel like I'm too informal, or for them, like other people might feel like that their setup is different and stuff like that. So um you just have to kind of figure out what works for you, and that's so that's just going to like what he was asking me about orientation. Briefly just review the history and the vision of the company. Be prepared to rephrase the question in other ways if the candidate doesn't understand or ask for clarification. Seek to be understood. Know what you are asking, and always confirm with the candidate that they understand what you are asking. Do this after every question. Seek to be understood. Just making sure that they understand the question that you're asking them. We also in the business of the boss, I give you a questionnaire that I have them fill out, right? Like even like at the interview. So we give them this actual questionnaire so they can fill it out. It's 10 questions about previous clients and stuff like that they have worked with. And it's just some really leading questions, so you can really get a good idea of who they are and what type of person they are in specific caregiver situations. And that's part of your business box as well. Be sure you understand the answers. Reiterate the answer back. So you said, or if I understand you clearly, you mean, just to kind of make sure that if they when they answer your question, make sure you're clear about their answer, just like they're clear about your question. So you just want to always be, make sure everything is clear and understood, especially when it comes to certain things about your company, like pay, time off, calling out, being late. Like you want to like let people know up front like what's tolerable and like what's like a no-no. Like phones are like, we got a zero tolerance policy on, phones and certain aspects of your day. Uh, late zero top, like families, like they understand late, but they hate no shows. So we just like, 2 no shows. It's like you done. Like one, I'm really like already want to fire you because what I gotta hear, we gotta hear back from the client if you don't show up, and we expecting you to get to be there. We get notification. You're gonna know, like, like if they ain't showed in 15 minutes. If you have like an app, most apps like clock in apps will alert you that they haven't clocked in at a specific within a specific time of their start time. Um, so there's things like that. You just want to be really clear on how you work with stuff like that, like like how you deal with late, time off, um, calling out, make sure that you're giving us some kind of time, like 24 hours. If you're not giving, because emergencies happen, people get flat tire. Like this one girl said she had flat tire like every week. I was like, yo, I knew she was lying. I'm like, man, your car ain't that. I mean, what, every tire that went flat? You know what I'm saying? But so you just have to kind of set the standard up front. So when it happens, and when these things potentially happen, because all this stuff gonna happen to you. Like all of it's gonna happen. You're gonna go through it all over this if you're in the business long enough. So but you want to set the standards early up front, so there's no misunderstanding when you do reprimand them or write them up. And that's another thing. You just want to make sure when they do things wrong that they're being written up, not just you're not just saying it. You actually want to write it up. So when you do fire them or get rid of them, you have to get rid of them. You want to make sure there's a paper trail. So
Alan,
yeah, go ahead.
what's the app or the app that you were referring to where employees can check they can clock in virtually?
I just showed it right here.
Oh, okay. Read my mind.
Yeah. So this is one of them. This is not the only one. Obviously, this is the one I suggest people use because it's free. Um, you eat. All right. Sorry about that. So Homebase is a good free app that I suggest people to just get started to use. Go download it, or get a free account. It's free, and I think with the free account you can use the scheduling and the time clock. Uh, I don't know about the employee hiring and onboarding, but they do have all these other scheduling, time clock, payroll, employee hire, and QuickBook integration. So this is a great app for that stuff, right? So um once they're in your system, you put your shifts in there, and then they clock in over the phone, and it's if I'm not mistaken, Homebase does have the GPS, so it can tell you if they're there or not. I think I don't think don't quote me on it, but I think they do have a GPS on there. But I know a lot of the home care apps do have them, like Access Care has it to where though if they clock in, they're not clocking in from or sometimes they clock in from the client's phone. But since a lot of people don't have, that's older. A lot of people don't have home phones. You just get the GPS one where they can you can tell where they're clocking in at. Some girls will be clocking in, they be like 10 minutes from like, yo, you're not there. So what you clocking in for? You know what I mean? You can see it. Like you clocked in 10, like 5 minutes, 5 miles down the street. I can see it on the
Wow.
map. Like you try to clock because you knew you was gonna be late. So you clocked in on your way to work. You can
They
see all
know.
that stuff. Huh?
Don't they know you can see?
I mean, I guess they just be deaf or think nobody paying attention. But
Yeah.
so yeah, they know. Um, so you want to make sure you have an app like that. I'm not sure if Homebase does that. I think they do, but I'm not quite sure. I haven't used it in a while. I haven't been on it in a while, but you definitely want to hold on a second. Dude. I'm getting an email. Text me. So yeah, you definitely want to use this, check out this app. And then, like I said, this is, and it say home base, and I thought it was home care because it's home base, but it's just, that's the name of it. But it don't got nothing to do with home care. It's just like a general software. So this is the assignments for this week. Set up home base account. Require, oh yeah, I do got the required reading here. Is the 1 minute manager. Um, if you haven't customized your documents, the documents that we were discussing, like I said, you can always upload them onto your Adobe, and you don't have to do it just yet until you start hiring. Like, you don't want to, like, even if it's just $9 a month, you don't want to start paying none of that stuff until you have to. like like a lot of people, they start buying software and they paying all these different for all these different services. They got one client. You know what I mean? And I'm not really with that. I don't want you to start like spending all this money and you don't have no clients yet. So, like I said, like people, oh, they be so excited that caregivers are applying, they'll start running all these background, paying for all these background. Now you got all these caregivers that got, clear background, but then what? Now what? You ain't got nowhere for them to go. So you just spent, few $100 running background checks, no job for them. So required reading, customize your documentation, set up the job apps, create flyers for local churches, and source employee screening app, like we were talking about, like clear check, karma check. There's what was we using? It's like in I can't remember what it was called, but there's a whole, it's like thousands of them. All you gotta do is put like background checks. You can even be more specific now and just put background check software for home care business, and you'll get a lot of good ones. So that's it, for this week. Do you guys have any questions?
I had a question. I'm just curious. How long after you ran your, well, how many years did you run your home care business before you opened a RAL?
About 3 years.
Okay.
So what had happened was we had we were doing home care, running ads, getting a lot of, just, I was putting a lot of signs out, putting flyers out, and meeting like referral sources in different senior communities, like nursing homes and stuff like that. And we started getting, it wasn't like I wasn't thinking about assisted living. It was kind of brought to me through leads. Cause I'm like, all these people keep asking, they be like, no, we don't want nobody to come to our house. We want to send him up out of here. So we was like, damn. And then I started looking at it, and the first thing I noticed, the first thing we did before we got assisted living was we did referrals. So I used to be like, okay, because I didn't know how much they was, paying a month.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got to remember, it was nobody talking about this stuff on the internet 10 years ago.
Right.
So I get a lead. They say, hey, look, we're not looking for home care. We responded to your information. We didn't know. We just said senior care, and we called. So what I did, I said, look, we're gonna call around and see if we can find a bed for them. So what we started to do is we start calling all the local assisted living and say, hey, look, I got this person, this looking for um looking for somewhere to stay. I'm a home care service, but they want actual sit. They want assisted living environment. So then they was like, okay, cool. What's your referral fee? I was like, we don't, this is our, we just getting into it. What's kind of like the industry standard? So it's like most people pay 1 month's rent, and I was like, okay, what's 1 month's rent? They're like 3,000. I was like, what? You see what I'm saying? So then that was like the wake up call. It was like, yo, I know he just ain't say he paying. I said 3,000. What? Like one bed? So it's like two beds in one room, and you paying. You know what I mean?
Right.
It just blew me away.
Mm-hmm.
But we wasn't built for it. And when I first heard about it, because I didn't have no house, we barely had a house
Right.
we was living in. So we was renting. So what had
Mm-hmm.
happened? Me and my ex, we had um the very first property we so we were like so so dug deep into the to the home care world. The house that we were renting from was a client's. Like, so the client, we were taking care of his mother, in one house. And just through us communicating with them and, you know, talking to him, we was like, man, we looking for a place to rent for our family, right? Because we, you know, we wanted a bigger house. And he was like, man, I got this house over here that I don't, you know, it's a nice house. It's a rental property. I just got it cleaned back up. It was a really nice house. And he's like, you could rent it for me. And, you know, you can rent it from me, taking care of my mother. And, you know, you can rent it from, I feel like you know, y'all a nice young family. There's a brother, black guy. And he was like, cool. So I was like, cool. So we ended up renting from him, you know, signing a lease. Everything was, you know, traditional. He did our background and all that, you know, credit and all that. We passed, and, you know, we gave him 2 months, you know, first month security deposit. But then we had, you know, we had learned more about the assisted living while we were there. And we were like, man, you know, me and my ex were discussing, like, man, we should just ask Bruce would he let us turn this to assisted living, because it was kind of like cool like that. Because he knew what we were up to, like he knew the business, the home care, and he was kind of interested, like kind of nosy, like how y'all doing, you know. So that's how we first got into it. Bruce let us convert his house that we were staying in to an assisted living. Once we got that up and running, we moved into our house. We were able to buy a house from there. That was our last rental property. And then we moved into our own, you know, we got a first time home buyers situation and bought our own house. Then that didn't, you know, that didn't last too long with Bruce. Bruce was getting, you know, nosy, greedy. We were like, man, you know, he wanted to do it, you know what I mean? Because he seen all the money was he like, you know, we were new, excited, so we were kind of talking too much. And like, man, we can get this for each bed. So that didn't last with Bruce. So then what we did, we turned our first house into an assisted living, then moved out of that, and then, you know, that's how we started. And then eventually me and her broke up. But we started with our own properties, like our own living spaces, living environments.
Okay.
So we were like, actually, like, it's times that we was living in assisted living.
Okay.
You know, set it up while we were living there. Because it just didn't seem like, because we couldn't afford to do both, right? We couldn't afford to pay rent over here and then also pay another mortgage, you know, or whatever, you know what I mean, where we living at. And then we just weren't built like that in the beginning.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, that's how we got into it.
Wow, that's an interesting story. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I'm gonna hop off of here. If you got any questions, comments, post them in the Facebook group. You know, that the little one that we got, or the main ones, and then or you can just sign up for a call if y'all need to talk about something, you know, specific. Just let's do a one-on-one. And other than that, check out that book. What's it called?
1 Minute
One
Manager.
Minute Manager. There it is. Yeah, the 1 Minute Manager. Great book. I'm telling you, y'all getting some really good readings here. Just if you read the books, you're gonna be really satisfied with the training, just with the required reading. I'm telling you. Read that book if you got the time. If you finish the other books that we talked about, I think we talked about the
10x.
the 10x rule. That's a real easy book. You know, it's on Audible. If you're not finished with that, go ahead and finish that. Then hop into the 1 Minute Manager. Another really quick, small, short book, but really impactful. And let's talk about it next week.
So I'm on Audible right now, and I see the new 1 Minute Manager. Is that the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's not like, yeah, that's it.
Oh, okay.
It's like red and white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Good book. And then I think if you get Audible, you get like one book a month, one book free a month anyway. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna hop off of here. Y'all take it easy. Call me if you need me.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, no
Have a good
problem.
one.
Yeah.